what is the difference between a debit card and a credit card? It is very simple. A debit card, you can think of it as cash. So normally you go to a bank, right? You open an account, and an account is basically like a wallet, right? So you just tell them, hey, I'm going to put this amount of money here, or whoever you work for, they can do a direct deposit. You give them your account number, like, hey, this is the bank I'm with, and they will deposit the money there automatically. Your parents can do transfers as well. A lot of banks offer bank accounts for teenagers, so, or for minors. I remember I opened my first bank account when I was 12 years old. I was super excited. I remember my dad, it was kind of like a surprise. He just showed up and he was like, I was like, where are we going? He's like, it's okay, you'll find out when we get there. And then we got there and I was like, what are we doing at the bank? And he's like, you're getting your first bank account today. I was like freaking out. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have money. But it's the same thing as cash, right? So you can also go to a branch if your bank has a branch. There's a lot of online banks as well. But if you go to a bank that has a branch, a physical location, you can bring cash to them and be like, hey, here's how much I want to deposit on my account. Or you can do it at ATMs as well. A lot of ATMs, sometimes banks will not have an actual branch anywhere, but they will have like a drive-through ATM kind of thing. And you can just go there, deposit your money, get your receipt, and get out. Now, how do you access that account that you put your money in? You use a debit card, not a credit card, a debit card. And that debit card is basically, it's your cash, is what you walk with around. Some of them, you are gonna need a PIN for it. A lot of them now, they have that little tap thingy that you can just tap it and the machine will register it. You can pay with just a tap. You can use Google Pay, you can use Apple Pay, but in order for you to use Apple Pay, Google Pay, all that kind of stuff, you need a bank account, right? So you need to put your bank account there so that they know where to get that money from. You can use Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, all that kind of stuff. For all of those, you either need a debit card or you need a bank account. But with Cash App, for example, which is very, very popular, if somebody pays you some money, let's suppose you pay somebody for lunch and they're like, oh, I'll just Cash App you, the amount, or Venmo you, whatever. In order for that money to go back to your account, you need your account number. So you would have to put your account number there. I am not sure if you can open a PayPal account without an account number, but then you would only have like just the PayPal. Like if you go to a place that doesn't accept PayPal, right, which I don't know of any physical place that accepts PayPal, you won't be able to use it there. You can buy stuff online and pay with PayPal a lot of times, but it's not an account. Like there's no physical, card for it. I do know that Cash App offers a debit card. I don't know if PayPal offers one. I think they do as well. I do also know that they offer a credit card, which we're going to talk about next. But yeah, so that's a debit card in a nutshell. It's basically your cash that you carry in a card. So whatever money you have, you would use that debit card with. Now, one thing to be very mindful of, it's what we call an overdraft. All right, so let's suppose that you have $10 left in your bank account. And then you try to go and purchase something, but that something costs $15, right? What's gonna happen is two things. The bank will pay for that extra $5 that you don't have, right, in your bank account. And then the next time that you put money in it, those $5 are going to be deducted from whatever you put in. Now, obviously, that is a service that the bank provides. Therefore, you have to pay for that service. And that service is usually about $30. So you can opt out from overdraft. If you opt out, your card will just be declined. You can have it overdrafted, or you can choose to just get it declined. Can be a little bit embarrassing sometimes. Some people just brush it off, or you just use a credit card in that moment. I don't recommend you use a credit card for money you don't have, unless you know for sure that you're gonna have it later. Which brings me to the topic of credit cards. What is a credit card? Well, first of all, in order for you to get a credit card, you need to have credit, usually. It's kind of like the chicken and the egg kind of thing, because it's like, well, I need credit to get a credit card, but I can't get credit unless I have a credit card, right? So one way around that is to get what it's called a secured credit card. And a secured credit card is basically, let's suppose I am the bank. You come to me and you say, I want to be able to borrow up to $300. So you come to me and you give me $300, right? Because I'm the bank. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use those $300 as protection, as like backup, in case you don't pay for that credit card. Okay? Because a credit card, what it does is you borrow money from the bank. That's literally what that is. All right? So you just, the bank will give you, depending on your what they call credit worthiness, they will give you a line of credit to say, hey, you can borrow up to $300, or you can borrow up to 500, whatever, 200. It doesn't matter. That's usually how you start. And then eventually, as you prove income and all that kind of stuff, because you don't have income, they're not going to give you a credit card, because how are you going to pay it back if you don't make any money, right? But based on income, all that kind of stuff, and based on how well you are at paying that money back, they will increase that line of credit usually. And normally it's automatically. You can ask them to increase your credit line as well, but normally they'll just increase it automatically, and you would be able to borrow more and more money as the time moves along. Now, when you have a secured credit card, that money, like I said, the bank keeps that $300, let's say, for just in case you never pay it off. But you shouldn't rely on that, because the whole point of having a secured credit card is to use it as a regular credit card, meaning any money that you take out of it, you want to put it back, because then every month they're going to be telling the credit bureaus, which are like Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian, they're going to be telling them, hey, this person paid on time, this person paid in full, like this person is good, right? So that when it's like playing pretend, right? Like I'm gonna pretend that I am actually borrowing money, even though I have already given you this security deposit and said, hey, if I let you down, you can use that money to pay it off. But if that happens, they will show that as a non-payment. So you want to use it to build your credit. You don't want to use it to hurt your credit. Now, I've never used a secure credit card. I am not 100% sure if it would actually hurt your credit if you don't pay it off, but I know that it can help you improve it, which is the whole point. There's a lot of other places too that allow you to have cards, like stores and stuff like that. Is a really good place to start building a little bit of credit, at least for the purpose of training yourself to have a little credit, right? So you can go, let's say Walmart or whatever, also not sponsored by Walmart. Let's say you go to Walmart, get a credit card for the store. I know that they offer like a Capital One now too, but for that one you actually have to have credit. So you could go there, and let's suppose that you have very little credit or none at all, and sometimes they will approve it. I'm not saying they will, but they could. And if they do approve it, then you can use that credit card specifically for Walmart only though, right? So let's say you go and shop there, you buy some stuff, whatever, make sure to pay it back and pay it on time. Now, credit cards, the appeal to them, because a lot of you were probably thinking, oh, why would you borrow it if you can just pay for it, right? That is a great question. You shouldn't borrow it unless you can pay for it and you know you have to pay for it. Two things are the big appeal of credit cards is that you can pay later. Let's suppose that you have to do grocery shopping today, but you don't get paid until tomorrow from your work. You can use your credit card, buy groceries with your credit card, and then you can come the next day after you get paid, and you can pay it off and you can pay it back. That's one appeal to it. The second appeal is that you can borrow a large amount of money, but you don't have to pay it off all at once. All right. So for example, let's suppose you borrow $100 for whatever groceries, and then you can pay $25. Whatever the minimum of your credit card is, usually is about $25. So if you can just pay the $25, I highly, highly, highly recommend you don't ever do that, because there's this thing called interest, right? If I go to any store and I buy something, right? Let's say I buy a bar of chocolate, because that's my favorite thing ever, right? So if I buy a chocolate from, let's keep using the example of Walmart, I guess. If I buy chocolate from Walmart, I pay for that chocolate, right? So when you go to the bank, their product is money, right? So when you borrow the money, or when you take money from the bank, you gotta pay for it, which is what we call interest. So when you borrow that money and you keep it in that credit card, and you don't pay the minimum balance, what's gonna happen is, like, the next month you don't owe $75. Let's suppose you pay 25, right? You don't owe $75 anymore. You owe $77, or depending on whatever the percentage APR is on that card, whatever the interest is. So now you're paying more for taking longer to pay off that money. Versus if, let's suppose, with the example I gave, you don't get paid until tomorrow, but you get paid tomorrow and you pay off that card, you probably don't have to pay any interest at all, usually. So that is the biggest difference between debit cards and credit cards. I hope that makes sense. Having credit is very important, because if you don't have any credit, you're not gonna get approved for a car, right? You can't buy a car unless you have credit. Why? Because when you buy a car, it's a purchase of at least $20,000 unless you buy a used car. And if the bank doesn't have any record of how good you are at paying stuff back, they're not gonna give you the money, right? They're not gonna say, oh yeah, you know what? This person looks nice. Let's just give him 20 grand. Let's see what happens. No, they're in the business of reducing risk as much as possible, because they're giving you money, right? And that's their money. So they want to make sure that they will get that money back, so that they can keep reloaning it back to other people and whatnot. And that is their business. You can become a bank eventually. There's a lot of people out there who are like hard money loan people and stuff like that you could literally just do that. Anyway, credit, be very, very careful. It is very, very tempting to jack up your credit cards, max them out. So like, let's say you have a credit line of $300. I'm gonna go shopping and I'm gonna buy $300 worth of shirts. Don't do that unless you know for a fact that you can pay it as soon as possible, because that is going to hurt your credit. If, let's suppose, you don't pay off a card, let's suppose that you are like, you know what, whatever, they gave me that money, I'm never gonna pay it back. What's gonna happen is they are going to sell that information or sell that account or whatever equivalent of it is. I don't know the exact terminology, but the point is that eventually they're gonna have a collection company calling you, harassing you, basically every day, asking you to pay back that money. But not only that, your credit is going to get hurt big time, because the last thing you want on your credit report is an account on collections. That tells banks, dude, that person is not paying you back ever, right? So the last thing you want is to have something on collections. If you borrow something from the bank, pay it back. That is my biggest advice, or not really financial advice, just kind of like parental advice, even though I'm not a parent, but that's okay. Eventually, the more you can prove to the banks that you can borrow money, the more they're gonna be willing to give you money. And eventually, especially if you can prove income and stuff like that you tell them like, hey, I have a full-time job, you know, I'm doing great, this is what's going on, and I will be able to pay you back. You will get a car. You will eventually get a house. You will eventually, you can buy larger purchases that hopefully are either investments, which is what I always recommend, that you actually buy investments instead of liabilities. If you don't know the difference between a liability and an asset, read Rich Dad Poor Dad. There is a version for teenagers that you can check out. They're on Amazon and everywhere else. You can check the link below. I'm gonna leave it here on my video description as well. Now, mind you, it is an affiliate link. I have to disclose that. It is just another source of income for me, but it doesn't cost anything else from you. So I probably get a commission of it if it's a qualifying purchase from Amazon. If not, then I will just be happy that you got the knowledge. So I am gonna go ahead and announce the winner real quick, and then we're out of here. Let's do this. Jim Ringers! Jim Ringers is the lucky winner of the 1 hour free tutoring session from me. We're gonna meet one-on-one. I'm gonna be emailing you today or tomorrow, Jim. You can claim your prize. And if you would like to participate again next month, make sure to go to isabelexplains.com/giveaway. I'll see you next time, y'all. Bye.